real quick, and I thank everyone that hung around. All right, so today I want to talk about DevOps collaboration, right people, right data, right time. All right, you can go ahead and advance. So my name is Eric Maxwell. I'm a solutions architect for the XMatters service reliability platform. I've been with XMatters Everbridge for 2 years now. If you're not aware, XMatters, if you're familiar with XMatters or Everbridge, XMatters was acquired by Everbridge earlier this year. But previously to XMatters and Everbridge, I spent about 10 years in development as a product manager, an architect, and as an SRE and SRE manager. So organizations of all sizes nowadays, right? We're all in this transformation stage. We're all trying to innovate faster, of course, trying to bring more value to our customers, be more competitive in the market. And because of this, we see more issues arise, or not necessarily more, they faster, right? And so we have this balancing act of trying to innovate, but also balance disruptions. All right, you can advance. So I went out and grabbed a few images here, right? Because I'm sure we're all familiar with the DevOps process, and especially this infinity loop of the various stages in the process, right? And I pulled several more just to show that it gets represented in different ways, but it's basically the same thing. And we have this. We're trying to pull development operations together, right? So, all right, you can advance. So I pulled together several definitions of what DevOps is, right? I'm not going to go through all of these, but I pulled several from varying sources you can see here. And if you would advance real quick, just one stage, you'll see one common piece across all of these, and that is collaboration. Each one of them mentions collaboration or collaborating in some way between teams or people, right? Team members and other teams. And I like the last one there. It is a very concise definition of what DevOps is, and it focuses on this collaboration aspect. All right, we can advance. Yeah, you can see there highlighted the different collaboration mentioned in each one. You can go ahead and there. So what's the definition of collaboration? So I pulled several here, but the theme here is multiple people working together, maybe even multiple teams working together, right, as a joint goal, right? Some endeavor that we're working at. And of course, in that last one I like is cooperating across maybe teams that aren't immediately connected. So that was kind of this traditional past kind of, I think you have development and operations that aren't necessarily directly connected, other than they're developing a solution and the operations teams is running that, right, in production. Other than that, they didn't necessarily cooperate a whole lot, especially around issues that had cropped up. So that's where DevOps tries to change that paradigm. All right, you can move on. So the elements of collaboration. So I went through, I found different sources, different places that had different list of elements of collaboration. And so I just built this composite list of various ones I saw. So cooperation, right? Of course, if we don't have cooperation among the team members or teams, then our collaboration is going to fail, right? It's not going to be successful. And confidence. And so this isn't necessarily the confidence in I know what I'm doing, or confidence that I know the right answer. It's confidence that you know that the team, the people you're collaborating with, are going to respect your knowledge, your opinion, your input into this goal that you're trying to reach, right? And of course, responsibility and accountability. If we don't have those things in the team, we could sit and collaborate and come up with all kinds of ideas and solutions. And if no one's accountable or responsible, then nothing's ever going to happen, right? Of course, we need to be able to communicate those things with each other, coordinate those things. We don't want to come up with an idea and then everyone works on the same thing, right? We all, in collaboration, we need to divide and coordinate up that work. And then, of course, this all ties into mutual trust and respect, right? Mutual trust in the team, that you're going to cooperate, you have the confidence, everyone's going to respect your opinion, and that everyone trusts that everyone's going to do their part. All right, can advance to the next slide, please. So I pulled another diagram of the DevOps infinity loop. I like this one because it shows the collaboration communication, just kind of showing that ties into the whole process, right? All right, we can move to the next slide. All right, so where does, we were talking about the whole topic of right people, right time, right data. So how does that all come together? So first off, right, to collaborate, we need the right people. And as far, we need the right people to collaborate. We don't need to bring in, we don't need to include people that don't need to be there. But we need the right people, right? Because we need the subject matter experts, the people that can help us come up with that solution or reach our goal. We need the right data. These people need the data that, in order to collaborate, right? If we come together, we don't have any information or data, what is it that we're going to talk about and make decisions on? And of course, we need all of this at the right time. We need the right people, and they need to get the data at the right. And when you get the right people at the right time, they need their information at the right time. And then at the intersection of that is collaboration. Right. All right, so we can move to the next slide. So some common challenges in collaboration. I kind of talked about this a little bit. Wrong people. And it's not necessarily that you're bringing in someone that's not necessarily that can contribute. They may be able to contribute, but if they're not needed, why do we bring them in? Because one is we're wasting their time, because there's other value add work that they could be working on, and we could be hindering that, pulling them into something they don't need to be involved in. And also, the more people we bring in, the more complicated and complex it gets, right? So we want to make sure we focus on bringing in the right people into helping us solve this issue or reach our goal. The wrong data. So of course, if we have the wrong data, wrong information, we're not going to be able to make informed decisions, or we may make incorrect decisions. And then of course, if those things come in at the wrong time, we get the wrong people, the wrong information at the wrong time, we could be making incorrect decisions or late decisions because we didn't get that information in a timely manner. All right, we can go to the next slide. So this one kind of builds out, so it'll talk. So we get so this is a typical kind of situation that we see. So we have an alert. This is an alerting kind of scenario where where a team's going to collaborate on these things. This is very common in like a DevOps team. You have a production issue, maybe you have a non-production something in your pipeline that is failing, things like that. But we have this alert, and typically the next thing that happens is there is a notification that's sent out. You can go ahead and build that. If you want to just build it out on a pre-, it'll be fine. But we'll have a notification that goes out, and typically that notification will go to a group of people. And that group of people, lots of times we'll see it as a distribution list or some group of people. And the first issue with that is that there is no, we talked about one is getting the right people. One is if we notify a whole group of people, yeah, maybe they can all help, but do we need all of them to work on it, or do we need specific people to work on it? The other part is that responsibility part of it and accountability is if you notify a large group of people, we're all busy, right? So if I get a message that there's some issue or something that needs to be worked on, and I see that 15 other people got notified about it, then I'm like, well, I'm busy on this and I need to get it done. So somebody else will take care of it, right? So it reduces our efficiency, our mean time to respond, right? Which then affects our mean time to resolve, things like that. And of course, after we get this, we notify someone. Go back. We're having to gather information. Right? They're going to go out and gather information. They may need to reach out to other people. They realize like, oh, we're looking at it and it does look like we need this other person to join because they have expertise in some other aspect that looks like it's part of this issue. And then we also need to keep other people up to date on what's going on. That could be within the team, but also stakeholders. Those could be people in our organization. It could be customers, things like that. And of course, typically we need to track those things in an issue or a bug or an incident, things like that as well, right? So you can see that this can create a lot of confusion when there's not a very repeatable and specific path that's being taken. All right, go to the next slide. You can just go ahead and build it out. But again, you'll pull this together. Again, we have another signal that comes in that we call a signal. This could be a monitoring alert, things like that I just said, or a new incident, things like that. But in this case, we're gathering information ahead of time. So we're going to try to, one is to automate this process so that we're getting people, again, we want to get we're getting the right information, and then we're going to figure out the right people, right? And then provide that to them in a timely manner. So we get this notification. We have we're gathering information, this context that typically they may have. Once someone gets a notification, they go out and start gathering context around that issue or that problem, right? And then we can do things, create some resources and things that are going to be needed for collaboration. That may be creating an issue or a bug or an incident around it and putting that information there so it's there and we can provide that up front. Creating collaboration channels, right? Bringing people together in an organized manner, right? So that they're not chatting in, not in individual channels or in, direct messaging or sending different email threads or calling each other or standing at somebody's desk and talking about it and not sharing information across the team so that everyone knows what's going on, right? But then now we send that notification that has all of this information already there, this context we've already gathered, the resources that we've created, and we provide that to the team. But in this case, we're going to take that information and target the right people, right? And those could be various things based on the team they're in. Of course, things like on-call scheduling, things like that. So we're targeting specific people. One, again, bringing that responsibility and accountability that I have ownership of this and I need to take care of it, right? But I have that information at my fingertips and I can get to it much, much more quickly. So I have that information, my team has it, right? But then we may need to bring, and then as people come in, we have our dedicated collaboration channels for our issues or incidents, whatever those are, that we come together and we're communicating in a common channel, common modalities. Those could be chat channels and bridges, conference bridges, whatever that may be, and depending on the process and the issue. All right, of course, we need to bring, lots of times we need to bring in other people as we review, and then we make that easy to bring them in, right? We bring them in and then share that same information with them so that they can come in informed into that and they know exactly where to go. So when we have this organized collaboration, people know exactly where they need to go, where they can go and find out status, more information, and reach out to people that's working on this problem or goal that we have, right? All right, so you can move to the next. Yeah, and then of course, notifying, making sure our stakeholders, our other people in our organization and customers know. So at this point, I was going to run a demo, but I'm not going to be able to do that. But basically, I was going to give several, you can go to the next slide, several scenarios, a monitoring alert, where we get an alert and handle doing things like gathering information about the last deployment related to that service, the recent incidents, and those types of things, and creating new incidents creating new incidents for them specifically for that, and creating channels automatically, and sending those things to the right people. And then, of course, that's a new incident. And then I was going to show one on a failure in a pipeline. All right, so since I can't do the demo, just wanted to see if anyone had any questions.
Yes. Yes, we did have a couple of questions, and I did mention it before at the beginning, but if you do have a question, you can send it using the question tab. First question. We are working to improve our incident process. What is the common way or best practice for implementing better collaboration in an incident process?
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I say that's pretty common. That's one of the common use cases we work with. And it varies in process, but typically things that you want to include, right? We were talking about automating certain things, like when an incident is created. Lots of times it's just, when we go into a customer, it's a lot of, yeah, we get an incident, we send a notification that there's a new incident to the team that's responsible, right? And then, that may be an email or something to a group of people. So again, one is how do we handle those things? One, first off is on-call scheduling, escalations, things like that. So we're notifying a finite number of people so that we instill that sense of responsibility, accountability, ownership, right? The other part is gathering that information. Things that typically happen, like I mentioned, that I wanted to demo, was bringing in information related to that. Maybe if it's a monitoring alert, what was the service and what was related incidents, recent incidents or changes and things like that. And then of course building out those automated collaboration. So a lot of times we see, especially around Microsoft Teams and Slack, is they want to create channels specifically for an incident and invite those people to that channel so that they're collaborating in one location. And then we can do things like take the history, after an incident's closed, and things like that are resolved, we can take that chat history, insert that into the incident notes so that it's there for later review and things like that as well. But it's all about bringing that information, creating those collaboration. Like I was talking about channels, but of course, bridges are big things still, right? Creating a bridge for people to collaborate on. But it's all about getting the information so that you're reducing that toil, that time people are spending gathering information and making sure they get it as soon as possible, and that we're bringing them together in a repeatable, familiar way. That's another thing, right? You want to make it repeatable and familiar. It's not kind of this ad hoc thing that the process somehow, is some slightly different every time we run it, right? If you automate and build out that process and make it repeatable so everyone's familiar where they need to go, where they meet, where they can get the information, things like that. Any other questions?
Yes. Another question here. We use Everbridge's other products. Do you have some scenarios where we could leverage those along with XMatters for better collaboration?
Yes, definitely. So we do have some, use cases. Like I said, we were just acquired. We've been working on use cases and working on bringing the tools together so we can integrate more. And we have some cases where we can, from XMatters, let's just take the case of like a security alert. So maybe we get a security alert, maybe some type of a breach notification that comes in from our security monitoring. We could take that and the team itself, kind of the engineering side of it, is handled in the XMatters side, but then there's other things that need to happen, like legal type things that have to happen. If there's regulatory things that you need to reach out and they'll, notifying customers and things like that have to be met. And those can go, what we do is in the Everbridge tools called critical events. So we can trigger those types of things from XMatters. So if we see something like that, we can handle the automation from XMatters on the engineering side as they're trying to resolve the issue, but then also trigger off our kind of business related workflows that are handled in our critical event management system as well. We also have some other tools like SnapComms that can be used to do like desktop notifications, and it can do various types. So you can trigger those types of things from Xmatters as well. So things like a ticker bar on the screen, or a pop-up message that lets let someone know something's going on. We can even do like screen takeovers, things like that, if we needed to, if it was like a very critical thing that's happening. But yeah, there's various ways we can integrate those systems together and for collaboration purposes. All right, any other questions?
Yes. Next question. What strategies are being used, best practices, to ensure that you have a limited blast radius impacting as few people as possible to solve an issue?
So, that's a complex one. So again, yeah, I mean, that all depends on the source, but one is I would say the biggest thing is automation, right? Automating things, limiting the blast radius. I don't know seriously if we can limit the blast radius. I'm just trying with necessarily automation as far as around collaboration, right? I mean, we can limit maybe the impact, right? By and that's the whole point, reducing that mean time to respond and resolve, right? We want to reduce that, so we're reducing the impact. So if we can automate, if we can get the right people, we get them the information they need in a very timely manner, then we can help reduce that impact, right? And we have lots and lots of customers, and that's the big part that they see is implementing this automation, where they're trying to limit blast radius, limit incidents, but when the incidents do happen, how can we lower that impact? And in automating these processes, where we're around collaboration, the team collaboration, bringing them together, reduces that impact, right?
Excellent. Okay, next question. Gartner named the next evolution of DCIM as HDIM, Hybrid Digital Infrastructure Management. This is based on the research of organizations shifting from traditional data centers to a hybrid of data center, cloud colocation, and edge locations. Do you have an opinion?
All right, so moving, so Gartner, I can't see it, so I'm just going to have to go off what you said. Can you repeat the beginning of that one, please?
Yes. Gartner named the next evolution of DCIM as HDIM, Hybrid Digital Infrastructure Management.
And do I agree with Gartner, I guess? That was the question at the end?
I suppose it's if you have an opinion on it, on the...
Or opinion. I would say, yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. I mean, that's what we see a lot of. You see a lot of customers now moving that were traditionally like on-premise, or even customers that had moved into the cloud, that they're doing multi-cloud. And I guess this is maybe what you're asking, but this very hybrid environments for various reasons, maybe for, redundancy and reliability, and just diversification of infrastructure. But yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And again, that's where a lot of this orchestration across tools and things that we're talking about for collaboration, using a tool like Xmatters can help pull those various tools together in those types of situations. I don't know if that really answered it, but yeah.
All right. Next question. Where do you see attended automation helping to accelerate MTTR?
Attended automation, helping, you said, helping accelerate MTTR. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So it says, okay. Yeah, I mean, just going back, I mean, that's one of our big focuses, right? Is automation. And I mean, that's why we push, and that's where a big part of our product is automation, because that's where we see that the lowering the MTTR and accelerating it comes from, right? So, traditionally, even our product beginning, right, was find and assign, finding the right people, escalation, and those things. Yes, a lot of customers still deal with those things, and those help. but that's a kind of a low-hanging fruit. We bring that down, and that really helps bring down the MTTR right up front. But there's other things like where automation comes in to help lower that, where I was talking about gathering information, or even maybe based on the information we gather, running or triggering other things to happen, not necessarily even notifying someone. Maybe we're running some process beforehand based on the information that we acquire, and then based on the result of that, maybe then we need to notify someone, or maybe we don't, maybe not, right? But lowering that MTTR. But yeah, automation, I would just say in general, I think in my opinion, automation is very important in that process.
Right. Okay, next question. In your DevOps collaboration processes, do you have an observability feature that ties into DCIM, HDIM?
I mean, I wouldn't say that we aren't necessarily an observability platform. We integrate with many observability platforms, but yeah. So I would say that we are, but we can help. So that's part of what we work to help with is when we're in that process, is taking this information and sharing it across tools and bringing tools together, right? So taking that information, of course, there's the notifications, but automating the creation of incidents and inserting information and posting things in the channels and taking that, various information and sharing it across it. But yeah, but we're not necessarily an observability, or we're not an observability platform. That's not our purpose. I mean, we do have analytics around our specific product, right, that you can see, that's around like notifications, performance, event type performance. So we were talking about MTTR, so you can get things like group mean time to respond, things like that, or even a user based on notifications and things that they've received. Then we also have event type information. But yeah, other than that, we're not an observability platform.
Okay, next question. With multiple tools being used currently, how do you scale a DevOps system to enterprise?
Yeah, so and I think that's a big part of what we're doing. So around the automation and using a platform like ours, like XMatters, we're trying to help with, right? Because as you scale your enterprise, connecting all of these systems together. Yeah, in a lot of cases, you can integrate various systems directly with each other, but those integrations can vary in functionality. They can be, some can be pretty advanced, and maybe you'll use those, but some can be very simple. I'm just going to send an email or post something to a channel or something like that, and that's about all it does. And you start to build this web of integrations that make it very difficult to manage and manage that at scale, right? Because if there is an issue, where do I go? How do I keep track of where all these things are configured? Where if you can centralize a good portion of that into a single place, it makes it much easier to scale, right? Because it's easy to manage and maintain. If there's problems, you know where to go. If you want to make a change, it's much easier to make it in one location than it is to go to 10 or 20 or 100 different places to make that change, right?
Okay, the next question is, what downsides have you seen in too much collaboration?
How much downtime have I seen in too much collaboration?
What downsides have you seen in too much
downsides of too much collaboration? Yeah, so I mean, as far as collaboration, I think that goes down to the right people, right time, right? Like I've had a customer that they were working on this, and they were working on how to reduce some of it. They said that they had calls that had like 100 people on it. Like how do you? And they're like, we can't get anything done because there's 100 people on there trying to discuss a problem, and that doesn't work, right? So you need to get the right people. That goes back to getting the right people. It's not that those 100 people can't have input, but having 100 people on there is not going to be productive, right? So getting the right people, and those people make a finite subset of people to make decisions, right? Or at least they know who they need to reach out to handle. But you have this subset of people that are handling the issue. I would say that's a big part of it, right? But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that was insightful. All right.
Okay. Next question. What observability features does Everbridge have that ties into DCIM or HCIM?
So again, we're not an observability platform. We can share, like we can transfer information from different systems, as we get those in through our process, through the various workflows that customers set up, but we're not an observability platform. So we help tie those systems together, observability platforms and others, ITSM, chat ops, incident, I said ITSM, but issue management, whatever that may be. We even tie into proprietary things of status type systems, things like that, but passing information along. But then also in the process is deciding on where that information and what information should be shared with various different groups of people, right, as well. So, but no, again, we're not an observability platform.
Right. Okay. Just seeing if we have any other questions. I understand getting the right. Excuse me. Sorry. I understand getting the right subset of folks to handling issues, which is kind of DevOps culture. How do you get buy-in from operation folks that are against change in the new DevOps culture?
Yeah, that's always an issue, and I've gone through that, and I would say, in my experience, the best thing is being able to, one is just convincing them to at least let you show that it can help, right? Letting you implement it maybe in some smaller test scenarios, right? Just to show how it could help, right? But yeah, it can be difficult. I mean, the other part is just, especially when you're moving in a room, is getting that information and trying to build that relationship and showing, providing information on how it has helped across other organizations. But I would say in practice, in my experience, being able to at least prove it out, proof of concept, to them has been the most influential, showing how those things can help, right? I mean, and it varies across companies too, right? Or organizations, depends on their size and things like that. But anyways, I don't know if I could that was good insight or not. But yeah, it varies. But I would say building your case, one is probably the first thing, is building that case using information about, from other organizations that have shared their experiences, and then trying to build out some type of proof of concept, finding things. I would say one would be looking at your process, right, and taking that and mapping that into how you would like to implement that in a kind of a DevOps scenario, or a DevOps process, right, to show how we can automate these things or various things and show how we can reduce time. Like, it takes us X amount of time to get someone, we send a notification, it takes X amount of time for somebody to respond, blah, 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 and then they go and do such and such. Like I was kind of showing the process, like looking at those things and then showing how you could reduce that time using DevOps practices and automation, which is a big part of DevOps, right? And I would say is a big thing. Yeah. So.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. How would you integrate your product with Splunk or other observability tools? As products scale, how do you keep up in parallel with so much automation to keep up with?
Yeah, so I mean, as far as, we integrate, we have those built in. something like Splunk and things. I mean, as long as we're gathering, in most cases, we're taking on information from them, right? They're sending us alerts, things like that. And our platform scales just fine with that. I mean, as you add more tools, I guess it just depends on how you're going to do it. But typically, it's a fairly you're building a fairly I was trying to think of the term, but common process, right, across them. And our platform is pretty flexible on how you want to do that. I mean, you could have a workflow that you have multiple tools like Splunk or Dynatrace or whatever it is you're using, and they could all feed into the same workflow. So it kind of follows the same flow. Or you could have, if you needed different workflows, automation flows for various tools, you could do it that way as well. It just depends on how you want to do that. But in most cases, once an integration is built, between our platform and another, you're pretty much there. I mean, as far as our platform scaling, that's not a problem either. I mean, we support enterprise customers with thousands and thousands of users and events and millions of events that we process. So yeah.
Okay, looks like we're nearing the top of the hour. I just did want to remind everybody that today's webinar has been recorded. So if you missed any or all of the webinar, you will be able to watch it again. We will be sending an email with a link to access the webinar on demand. And you can also find it on the devops.com. Just look in the on-demand section in the webinar, and it will be there. I didn't mention this before because of the hectic start, but we did have 4 winners for the $25 Amazon gift card. Our first winner is William W. Congratulations, William. Our second winner is Kristen S. Congratulations. Our third winner is Joan A. Congratulations, Joan. And our final winner is Sandy R. So congratulations to all our winners. We'll be reaching out to you via email with instructions for claiming your Amazon gift card. So please check your inbox. And if you don't see it there, check your spam folder. With that, Eric, thank you very much for taking the time to put this presentation together despite your internet issues. It was really great. The Q&A section was really informative. We had a lot of questions, and thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
And lastly, I'd also like to thank the audience for their time and engagement. This is Julio Godinez signing off until next time. Be well.